Hi, this is Don with the Uniquely-DOUBLEBEE. I'm going to be showing you a video here. It's going to be outlining all the details that it takes to get started with RV transport. Now, there's a lot of videos out there, a lot of guys out there doing this already, but each of the companies that I narrowed it down to, Wave, Express, Horizon Transport, and Indiana Transport, they either didn't communicate or over communicated, but over communicated with very random stuff and never had an exact requirement that they can give you. So I want to go over all that in this video, go over all the costs of that, and then I'm gonna just do a quick showing of my truck, but I'll do a video after this when I'm out on the road showing you how I set my truck up, because it's very rudimentary to get into this business, but it's not like just show up and get going. So I hope this video helps you. Provide comments where necessary, subscribe where you can. Roll tape. Finalizing the preparation of my big girl here, Fanny, to start a new portion of our life. It's going to be RV transporting. Now, my transporting name is under our business name, Double B Transporting. But all my videos for right now, I think I'm going to post under my Uniquely-DOUBLEBEE YouTube page. So you'll see RV repairs, RV upgrades, RV parts, and Ram trucks, both 2006 and 14, and even an 18 that I have here at the house. So I'll keep up with all those, and then you'll start seeing some RV transporting videos. But right now I got her all set, and I'll do a video where I show everything that's on her, but I've got all the requirements for starting this RV transport. But let's get inside, go through the spreadsheet, and then I'll pull up the websites and I'll show you where those are located, what they list on there, because what they list on there is different than what the recruiters send you an email. It was exhausting, especially being prior military. Everything's got to be everything's got to be in a row. Like, get your ducks in a row before you go blasting out to some person you're trying to hire. But Wave Express, they were much nicer. When you did ask for info, it was something either not on the radar, but they did try to get it to you. Maybe it's piecemealed, but you got it. So I have all that listed, and I'll be happy to give you a copy in PDF form, so that way you can have that when you get ready to get hired. That way you can just go down through that and you know exactly what is needed. So I'm hoping when I get to orientation, they don't throw me something new. That'd just be irritating. Anyway, let's get to that. Hi, this is Don with Uniquely-DOUBLEBEE, and I am on the inside on my laptop to show you the spreadsheet that I built that shows all of the requirements and some of the options that RV transport companies are going to require of you, or you're going to feel you need to get. Like, there's some optional things that you're going to just have to make life on the road a little comfortable at the beginning, and then over time you just build that up. But the requirements also are pretty extensive. They elude that they are not extensive and that they are very cost effective. Like, they tell you that they're not trying to break your piggy bank to get you up there and get you going on the road. However, I come to find, and you'll see here in a minute, just the requirements alone, it put a big dent into our savings account. And we're an older couple who has luckily we have a savings account. I have military retirement. My wife is still working, so we can cover some of this debt. But if you're one of these 23 and plus young people who like to get into RV transport, you're going to have to put some cash to the side and get ready, or you're going to have to get a loan. But here, let's walk through this. Okay, so there's a lot of companies out there when you surf the internet, but the top three are Indiana Transport, Horizon Transport, and Wave Express. I ended up choosing Wave Express, and I'll go over that here shortly. But I was down to Horizon and Wave Express. Indiana, mainly, as we go through the spreadsheet, you'll see they were very non-communicative. I hardly can get them back on the email. I couldn't get them on the phone. The only thing I can get was like, well, it's on our website. Well, it's on our website. Well, a lot of it's not on their website. So, but Horizon and Wave, they were pretty quick on responding. Certain elements, one responded better than the other. Wave, I had 3 different recruiters, which kind of drove me nuts. Horizon, I only had one. But I ended up choosing Wave, and I'll let you know why I made that. All right, so let's go through here. This here is the independent contractor qualifications, because you're going to be a 1099 contracted to the company that you're going to want to go with. All right, each of them, you have to be 23 years age or older. You have to have a driver's license, and then you have to provide them a front and back photocopy or a camera, taking it with your iPhone, but some kind of copy of the back and the front. And I didn't send anything to Indiana because they didn't ask for it, and I kind of just quit pinging on it. Each of them, you can have a CDL. They prefer you do. That way you can haul, up to 80,000 pounds, and they don't have to worry about what they're giving you to take on the road. But check your state's requirements, because like I'm from Texas, and Wave was big on that. Like, make sure that your state is good to go with you hauling, CDL RVs, or hauling RVs with your CDL. Now, at the time, Texas requires you to have, like, if say you're driving a diesel pusher, you're going to have to go to a school and do the air brake portion of driving. So basically, you're going to semi-truck school. You can take the written test. Yes, you can pass air brakes on the written test, but when you go out to the parking lot, you better have something with air brakes to get your test done. That's Texas. Now, a lot of hot shotters, that is, take the written test, get their Class A, go out with their flatbed trailer and their dually, show do the pre-trip inspection requirements, which are pretty extensive. That has to meet all DOT requirements. So I ended up just deciding to call the VA, because I have VA benefits and GI Bill benefits that were still around even after I put my kids through college. So VA chose Tennessee Truck Driving Academy, and it's in Knoxville, Tennessee, and they have a trucking school in, I think, Miami, Florida. Miami, Florida is both standard shift or double clutch in it, or automatics. The one in Tennessee is all standard shift. There's no getting around it. I went to the one in Tennessee, even though it hurt some of my injuries to shift that big old truck, but I passed it, did very well at it, basically from my military training. But it was a good school, and I'll put a link to that school in here if you want to go do that, and it gets you all your qualifications. And then you're fully certified to pull anything you want. And you'll know how to drive a semi-truck, which can be useful in RV transport if you move up to hauling multiple loads at one time. Okay, work history. Everybody has got to provide 10-year work history, and it must be documented on the application and consecutive. If you have any gaps like me, I retired, so I had some spots where I wasn't working. I was waiting on, my after military life job or something. You just make sure you put in there that you weren't working. I put in there retired. That wasn't the right category. You just put in there you were out of work. So they'll clarify that with you. Drug offenses, none whatsoever. Operating while intoxicating, careless driving, reckless driving, habitual offenders, DWIs, all that is not allowed. Okay, the motor vehicle review. Mine got reviewed when they pulled up my DOT file under the FMSCA clearinghouse. So my CDL, everything was on there, and so I was cleared for that. Wave said applicant driving records will be checked, and so did Indiana Transport. But Horizon, they said that if you have more than one license in the last 3 years, then they require a report from each individual state. It cannot contain more than 4 points on a driver's license to include no more than one moving violation and 0 at-fault accidents in the past 5 years. There must be no moving violation suspensions. So they were pretty lenient on, you know, giving you a chance to prove yourself if you knew you messed up when you're younger or something like that. So there's that plus. All right, CDL guys, you got to have your clearinghouse cleared and no violations whatsoever in there. I was approved, so all of them took care of that. And then DOT physical. Okay, so in Tennessee, I have property here. In Tennessee, they charge $150 for the DOT physical. That's the long form, and you'll get your med card. In Texas, it was $80. So I got mine in Texas because my CDL is from Texas. And in Texas, the doctors there give you a 2-year medical permit for DOT. I think other states it's just 1 year, so just check with your state. Okay, so each of them, except for Indiana, got my medical paperwork, and I sent them both the long form and my med card, but they mostly just wanted your med card. It's the same thing, it's just not as detailed. Social Security card, I didn't send it to Horizon because I kind of stopped talking to them at some point when I chose to go with Wave. So Wave got my Social Security card, and that'd be a picture of that, and you'll have to bring a copy of that. Each of the stuff that I'm talking about, you need to bring paper copies with you to orientation. And I'd have it electronically too, just in case. Passport, I have one since I was military. They recommend it, they don't require it. So anyway, but that'd be good for like running loads into Mexico, I mean not Mexico, into Canada. Okay, truck type. Now Indiana Transport, they require 2010 or newer and must be 3/4 ton or 1 ton. 8-foot bed is preferred, but they don't require it. Horizon just said that it should be no older than 10 years old. So it's 2025, so it can't be older than 2015. So they left my 2006 out of the question to use it instead of my 14. But my 14 was passed by recruiting because of the state that it, I mean, because of how it looks, and I sent them a lot of maintenance records, and they approved my truck. Okay. Oh wait, no, that was Horizon. They approved my truck. Sorry. Even though it just didn't look like a beater truck. So when they got all the pictures, and I sent them maintenance, you know, pictures of my maintenance logs, they approved it. So don't give up hope if your truck's a little older, but you take care of it, you'll get passed. All right. Wave Express, they don't mind older trucks, 2001 or newer. Many drivers opt for a 1-ton dually truck for power and stability. Yep, dualies pull better in the wind. They're heavier, so if you're worried about weight, it's just going to be an extra 1,000 pounds. So if you're trying to stay under that 26.5, you're going to just have to keep up with the calculations so you don't get in trouble out there on the road. Truck information sheet, they will send you one. You just fill it out. It's got all the VIN number, mileage, year, how much it costs, or what it's going to be worth if you wreck it, because you're going to mainly need that for your insurance quotes. So that's good to fill out. They'll send you that and get that back to them. Truck photos, yes, front, back, sides, and no, you don't need a drone shot of your truck. But yeah, you just got to give them some good pictures so they can look at your truck and approve you through that. Window tint, none of them allow window tint on your passenger and driver side windows. Now Wave, they said that if it's 70% transparency of the built-in factory glass tint must be removed. So my windows were at, I think, 86 because I had the factory tint, and then I had an extra 20% put on because I was stationed in Florida when I bought that truck in 14. And Florida is horrible with the sun, of course. So, but unfortunately, I had to have the secondary tint removed. It cost $50, and it was pretty easy to remove. But now my windows are at 67, so they're not higher than 70%. And I can't find a tint to put on there to keep those pesky UV rays off my interior. So if you guys know something, let me know. Fuel tank. Indiana Transport never answered from the photos. Horizon Transport approved my fuel tank. I have a 100-gallon fuel tank with an 18-inch deep toolbox. I've had it for 3+ years. and I tow a 45-foot North Jayco North Point fifth wheel, and we live in it. And we've been traveling the United States for 4 years now and living in it. But I've never had an issue, putting this thing into crazy spots, getting it through anything. But that's not commercial. That's just me doing it. And if I go with it, I go with it. Horizon said, cool, you're good to go. You can pull anything, fifth wheels, goosenecks, or bumper pulls with us. Now Wave said, nope, nothing allowed above the truck bed rails. However, I said, well, how about if I just pull bumper pulls until I can get the tank switched out, if this job becomes lucrative and I like it. They said, that sounds good to us. So I'm going to only be limited to bumper pull pulling. But in the plus side of that, it's lighter things for my big truck to pull, less wear and tear, and I can use my 100-gallon tank plus my 33-gallon standard tank that came with the truck, and I can get about 12 to 1,300 miles before I empty both of those. And that's pulling my big fifth wheel. And my big fifth wheel weighs anyway, depending on what we throw in it for the season, 16.5 or better. Okay, truck bed height. Behind the rear wheels must not exceed 59 inches. No suspension lift kits allowed. Airbags are acceptable if operational. So I have airbags on my truck. But when they're fully aired up for carrying big loads, when it doesn't have the load on it, I was about 61 inches. But I told them I'd just let air out of my airbags and we'll get it down to that 59. Now, when I got the load on her, it's below the 59. So we'll work that out in orientation because it makes for a better ride. That's for darn sure. Both Horizon and Wave were the same thing. Truck weight ticket, you got to get that done. That means fully fueled, whatever you got, fully loaded out with as much as you can think you can put in there, and go get a weight ticket. So my truck, with all of that, weighs 10,100 pounds. So they were good with that. It was underneath the 14 GVWR, 14,000 that my truck can carry in its bed and the weight of the truck. So I was good on that. I had to prove that I had 20,000 miles of towing experience. Now, this can be either commercial or it can be personal. I happen to have logs that showed, I have a spreadsheet that I use for our RV travels that I developed and had it for sale on an Etsy store at one time, but it is still available if you guys are interested. We can link up for that, but it tracks everything. Gas mileage, trip. It's a whole other video right there. But they validated that I had 20,000 miles of towing this big truck, and plus my military experience came in handy. Okay, rock gravel guard. Okay, I don't have one, but I'm getting one from Dooley Depot up in Goshen, Indiana, when I arrive for orientation. And I do have mud flaps behind my wheels, and they are higher than 5 inches, no higher than 5 inches from the ground. That's also a DOT. Well, DOT says they just can't be dragging the ground. So, okay. The rock gravel guard. So they'll give you a few companies to look over in Goshen that can install this. It's a one piece all the way across the back behind your bumper mount, and that's just extra protection for the camper. And I can't wait to have it on there because it's also going to protect my personal camper, which is great. All right, mud flaps, I already brought that up. Rear hitch requirement. So I have a class 5 rear bumper receiver, and I have both the 2-inch and the 2 5/6 inch ball, and they're like 10,000 plus. So the Wave had certain heights above the ground. So the ball height must be between 20 and 22 inches, and a 2-inch rated at 6,000 pounds minimum. That ball height can't be, it must be between 18 and 26. I met those conditions, so just keep that in mind. Horizon just said no triple ball or 3-way hitch. That was their requirement. All right, gooseneck hitches. Okay, Wave said it's great, it's an optional thing, it's not mandatory. Same with Horizon. So they were both kind of on the same button. It's great because then you can grab some of those that have kingpins with a gooseneck hitch on them. Or if you're going to do multi-load with a flatbed, you'll need gooseneck. Fifth wheel hitch, yes. Indiana Transport said it just needs to be 16,000 pounds capacity or higher. Horizon and Wave said it had to be 20,000 pounds or larger. I've had a Kurt fifth wheel hitch for now 5+ years, and it's amazing. It's a 24K, and one day I'll get a 30K, but right now I got a 24K. Okay. 30% of Horizon's transports are fifth wheels, and I think Wave said theirs was about 40. All right, each of them will pay you 50% up front when you start your run. Okay, final payment will be done, within a day, maybe 2 days, depending on if it's a weekend, from what they tell me, when you confirm delivery of the payload or the equipment. All right, driver incentives. I could never get anything out of Indiana. Horizon said yes, they have a 0.5 cent per mile for every loaded mile they run, as long as, see, 0.5 cent per mile. So they have a referral program. Basically, if you got a buddy that joins and he gives your name, or a friend or somebody from a YouTube site, you get an extra 0.5 cent per mile. And there's no limit on referrals for both Horizon and for Wave. Wave is the same, 0.5 cent per mile. All right, monthly safety bonuses, CDL bonus, monthly safety CDL bonus. In addition to the referral limit, if you have CDL, Horizon will give CDL extra 3 cents, an additional 3 cents per month when you meet the following. So you have no accidents or damages, no adverse DOT roadside inspections, 8 loads completed during a single month, and 5,000 safety miles completed. Now, Wave, they just told me they have a safety program to reward safe drivers, but I couldn't get anything out of them. So maybe that's an orientation thing. Okay, this was a big one for me because Wave just has more yards or terminals than the others out there, and locations. Okay, Horizon, they have 8 in Indiana for the East Coast, and then they have 7 out on the West Coast. They have them in California, Oregon, and Idaho. The freight from those terminals for Horizon stay in the West. Okay, now Wave has 16 yards in Indiana, and then they have an additional 6 in Oregon, 2 in California, and 2 in Idaho. They have a total of, I think, 25 or 26. Yeah, so that's 8, 10. They have 26 yards to choose from, whereas Horizon only has 15, and I couldn't get that info out of Indiana. Rates paid. They're really close to each other, but Wave pays about 30 cents more. Based on conversations I've had with people on YouTube sites who run for Wave, and then Horizon guys who said, yeah, Wave tends to pay a little bit better. CDL guys, we get a little bit more pay because we have CDL. We can carry all kinds of freight. So that's a plus there. Deadheading. You as a driver were required for the deadheads. They only pay for the loaded miles. Deadheading's not compensated. Now, you just keep your receipts and document that all for your tax. Tires on your rig, they have to be 10-ply or better, low to E range. G-rated tires are way better. I have Cooper tires on mine, and they seem to be the best. I had some Michelin's Endurance, but they just kept going bad. I was real saddened by that, but the Cooper tires are doing pretty well so far. They're load range E, and I think they're higher than 10-ply. Fuel truck type. They all recommend you have diesel, but they'll allow gas vehicles. So MoGas is acceptable. You'll just be burning through fuel a lot more. No SUVs or vans. None of them. That was easy. Driver payment at the end of the run. Payment is loaded onto a company issued card within 1 business day of receipt. That's Horizon and Wave Express. Couldn't get anything out of Indiana. Forced dispatch. No, none of them will force you to take a load, but you will need to do one a month at a minimum. So to keep yourself employed with them. All right. Self-dispatch. Yep. You just have to be a big kid and manage your own loads, and then work with traffic manager, as they call them, or dispatcher. So just you'll get through that. Way station requirements. Yes, you are going to be running commercial, so you will be stopping at all way stations, and you'll need to follow all DOT requirements, both in how you drive your truck and ELD requirements, electronic log. That's all going to be on an app that you're provided by the company. Insurance, yes, they each, again, I couldn't get anything from Indiana Transport, but Horizon and Wave, they use different companies, but they're pretty much the same cost-wise, and I'll show you that here in a minute. They both require $1 million unladen insurance and property insurance. Horizon said they require $1 million unladen physical damage coverage, and they said it comes out with their company to be $146 a month. The policy covers your truck and any other party that would be involved in the incident. The event you experience an accident while empty, unloaded, but on duty. For example, you're en route to pick up a unit you booked on, you're empty, but you logged your miles on the way to pick it up, and you get into an issue. Well, that insurance covers that. So now Wave said that unless your vehicle is being carried or towed, you may not log off duty after delivery. The same applies regardless if you're in transit. So that's the duty status. I apologize. So that was the duty status. I blended a little bit of this insurance stuff in. So both companies, yes, even after you deliver it, they're going to need to go over this in orientation, or if you get them on the phone and you're able to pull this info out of them, but you either deadhead back to your house or you deadhead to another load, but you're still on duty with them. Reloads. Wave said 30% chance of a reload freight that does not dispatch from northern Indiana will be available. Horizon said that they have a nice flow of dealer-to-dealer moves throughout the country. So you could actually drop something off, and then they say, hey, while you're here, can you grab this one and move it to the other, to another lot in the state, or just down the road, or something like that. So there's a bigger chance for that with Horizon. I think Wave is focused on mainly new equipment. All right, fuel discounts. Couldn't get anything out of Indiana, but Horizon is reporting 10 cents to $1 off, average being 40 to 50 cents. The same with Wave. Hotel savings. Indiana just said yes, but they didn't tell me what. So, hotel savings. Horizon said they have hotel stays are not covered and are not reimbursed, but they have several motels in the northern Indiana area that give them a Wave. They didn't have a list. Even though their website says that they have discounts available for major hotel chains, auto parts stores, blah, blah, blah. I couldn't get that out of them. So I'm hoping that orientation will get that. But I know the Countryside Inn gave me like a 50% discount just for coming to the orientation. Indiana Transport basically said what they get discounts from, and that's Motel 6, Garden Inn, and Red Roof Inn only. I think I have a list. Yeah, I've got a nice list here. I got this sent from Horizon, so that'll be included in this, and it's got everything from, cafes, restaurants, things that they know you can get a discount being a driver. It's probably the same for Wave, but who knows? We'll find out when I'm out there. All right. Let's see, tolls. All tolls are reimbursed by Indiana and Horizon, as long as you're on duty, as deadheading or carrying a load. Now, Wave said round-trip tolls are paid for deliveries to Ohio, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, New England, Chicago, and northern Illinois, Wisconsin, and Minnesota. All their state tolls are paid one way only. So that's basically you hauling a camper to California. They'll pay it that one-way travel there, but your deadhead back they won't cover. All tolls are reimbursable via taxes, yes. Permits. If you're having to get any permits, special permits for certain states based on weight or size or height. Permits are reimbursed by all three. Okay, so now, all right, I'm back. Okay, I got this fixed. All right, for each of them, yes, the 3/4 ton or 1 ton pickup truck. Diesel preferred, gas is permitted. Now, I own my truck, so there was no cost item here for this. I own mine outright. Now, if you're financed with it, you'll have to add that in here. You know, that can be anywhere from $40,000 to $150,000, depending on what kind of truck you're getting in the year. So, yeah. And I think Horizon mentioned to me at one point that you can lease a truck from them. That'd be already ready to go. So you might just ask about that. Okay, here's a big one. You have to have, they don't tell you this on the website, and you have to pull this out of them. They don't give this on your initial check sheet, but you have to show that you have at least $1,000 minimum in the bank. You have to have it accessible, and it has to be ready for emergency road expenses. You'll be responsible for taking care of it right away. So you have to have this money in your account. So I have that, and so that was $1,000 right out the door. And then Wave and Horizon also have a required damage deposit fund that you have to fund. So you can do it up front at $1,500 on the day of orientation, or they will take 10% of each of your trip, be taken out until it's paid in full. Me, you know, just pay that sucker right outright, but I'm able to. So this covers any damages, fees, or fines that occur out there on the road. Anyway, so just be prepared for that. That's just in addition to all this equipment that you're going to have. All right. Wave and Horizon, they do have lot fees. Horizon couldn't remember if you had to pay via cash or credit card. Wave, you pay in cash at the lot unless your load is 300 miles or less. So I just put here $40, but that's going to be a recurring cost. So just be ready for that. That's in cash. All right. The unladen physical damage, $500,000 per month. So the insurance company for Wave gave me a quote of $107.30. That's going to be each month. I already had to pay that, so that was right out the door. And then Horizon, their company said $106.92. And then let's see. Oh, Indiana Transport. I forgot. I did get something from them, but I'm not going to really focus on Indiana. Let me. There, now I can move my screen around. Okay. All right, I got this fixed. So Indiana Transport, their company gave me a quote of 108 for the 500,000 a month physical damage unladen. Unladen physical damage. Then unladen limited liability was $1 million policy, and you'll pay that per month. And that's non-trucking bobtail insurance will not be accepted. So they're not going to accept that if you brought in that type of insurance. Let's see. It was $146.56 for Wave, same with Horizon, but it was $141.83 for Indiana. Orientation package, non-refundable. This was a cost they tell you after you've gotten in deep with trying to come to them. Wave was much more expensive, $195, and they take that via Stripe. So they'll send you a link, you fire that up, and you make the payment, or you be ready to hand them cash or pay via Stripe when you get there. $145 for Horizon. I couldn't get anything out of Indiana. All right. Or let's see, driver's license. You know, whatever your state, that cost. I didn't have a cost for that. It was part of my driving school, so in that $5,000 I paid, I got my CDL license, drug test. Wave paid for that. I couldn't get that lined up with Horizon. That guy was a little slow on getting that set up, but I know that the drug test in Texas for me was $85, so I just put $85. Here in Tennessee, it's $150. All right. Your 26K registration license plate. This was a big one. Here in Tennessee, you'll have to check with your state, because here in Tennessee it was $495 to get a commercial plate. And you have to provide copies of that and a picture of the plate on your truck to waive. Same with Horizon. So I just put $495 down, but whatever your state requires, that's what you're going to pay. And you cannot pull anything without that plate on your vehicle. Power of attorney. Okay, they require this for married couples. Will be needed if 2 or more names are on the title and or registration. So if you're married and you have your wife on there as either and or an or, we ended up, this cost went up because Wave didn't give me the full instructions on their power of attorney form they sent the first time. So we filled out the front sheet, which was where the notary info was, and we put the owner, it said owner, and so the owner is my wife and I, and it was an and on our registration and paperwork, and we put both our names, but Wave said no. They already understood that I was the owner or part owner, so it was mainly just my wife giving me permission to drive our truck. So, mommy, may I? That's what that form's for. Tent removal cost. It cost me $50 here in the town I live in. It could be higher, it could be lower, but it was $50. Long form DOT annual inspection. Here in Tennessee, it's $179. Check your state. I got mine at a diesel performance shop. I think Love's will do it as well. But if you can do it at like a shop, they'll be a little bit more personable with you, and they'll check it over a little bit more thorough, in my opinion. Background check. This is funded by the companies. They do this through Checker, so it's CHECKR. It's a site they'll send to you a link, and you fire it up, give them permission, and they run your background. That's everything, which is good. I don't mind that. And then I had to ask for a copy of that from them when that got completed. Clearinghouse, full quarry. They asked me permission, and I gave them permission on my CDL. This is FMSCA, and I gave them permission. There was no cost to anybody. They just pulled the data from that. Scale ticket, yes. You'll have to have this. At Love's, it's $14. Oops, sorry. $14. So across the board, $14. And it has to be pretty recent and before orientation. So just get that before you head up there. They'll take it then. Okay, DOT medical card. Again, it was $80 for me in Texas. Check your state. Could be higher, could be lower, like Tennessee again. It's part of the 150. Same with the DOT long form. That is part of the $80 or part of the 150. Passport. I already had mine from the military, but I went ahead and put the cost down. If I paid out of pocket, that's $200 brand new. And then if you renew it, this is a renew. My apologies. That's $130, and then you can expect it to be anywhere from a few days to 2 weeks. Social Security card is no cost to you. Let's see, commercial tires. If you got crappy tires, you're going to be buying a set of new ones. I think all 6 plus my spare on my truck cost me a little over $2,500. And that was E-rated tires. If I went G-rated, it costs a little bit more. Anyway, the hitch. So I have a Class 5. It came with the truck, but I am getting the weight distribution system installed by Dually Depot up there. I chose them because they have a little bit bigger weight distribution kit to put on your truck or to sell to you, and it's by Husky, and it's 12,000 pound rated, so it's a little bit bigger than the other places.
So that's going to be costing me $350 when I get there. 2.5-inch drop shank. That's part of the kit, but it's an extra $130. And then this is the fifth wheel. So if it's 20,000 pounds or more, the cheapest I can find online, if you had to buy it new at 20,000 pounds, is $7081.99. There's a link to this. Couple hitches in my Amazon store if you're looking for one. Any higher than that, like 24,000 or up to 30,000, you can be spending anywhere from $1,200 to $1,400. So be prepped for that. Gooseneck hitch. It's not mandatory, but it's just optional. I have one because I have a 48-foot flatbed gooseneck trailer. Mine I bought for $191.12. Again, it's in my Amazon store. I got it off Amazon. It's 25,000 pound capacity. All right, the Ultra Rock Gravel Guard. That's the requirement from each of the companies. Dually Depot is going to give me that installed for $154.95 for the actual gravel guard. They don't provide a warranty. There's going to be a bar that they have to put across the back, and that's $25, and then a stable mount, another $60. Mud flaps. If you don't have any, you just got to get them. All right. Extended mirrors. Mine comes with it, but if you have to add them, that'll be an extra cost. Driver daily logbook. This is the backup to your electronic logs. I bought a whole packet of them from Amazon, and it's in my store as well. $23.90 for 5 of them. So that's pretty good. 7-pin plug. Mine's built into the bed and it's built into my bumper. But if you have to have that installed, that's another cost. These are all requirements before you even get to orientation. All right, 7-way 7-pin plug tester. I bought one off of Amazon. It's in my store as well. It does 4-pin and 7-pin. And I'll be having a video coming up on how that works and how you read it and all that at my earliest. And it was $18.99. You have to have that for orientation. 7-foot pigtail extension for the 7-pin. I had to buy this. I got it off Amazon. Again, it's in my store. $25.70. 4-pin plug. I have those built into my truck already. So if you have to get them, or you can get that conversion from 7-pin to 4-pin, I have one of those too. But I didn't have a cost because I have all that. Printer. A lot of people have different printers. They, especially RV transport guys, they've perfected how they have their printers in their trucks. I bought a little one. It's Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, the whole works, color. 8.5 by 11 sheets, feed in, it scans and copies and prints. Got it for $49 at Walmart. It's a Canon, perfect. $49 was a good price. The marine or car battery, and it has to be a deep cycle marine battery for trailer breakaway systems. Must be a size 24, and it needs to be a wet. They call it wet, so basically a marine battery. It cannot be a dry type battery. I found mine at a local ag store for $111.92. It was $111.92 because I didn't have a core to turn in, so which was $12. So it's about $100 for it. So that was a good battery. There might be cheaper ones out there, but that was the cheapest that I can find where I could physically have my hands on it. Battery box with strap. The best one I can find was at AutoZone, $21.23. It came with strap, mounting kit, the whole works. It's pretty good. So AutoZone was a place for that. Emergency DOT approved emergency devices. So 3 triangles. I have a kit that I had to have for CDL school that I carry with me at all times. It was $39.50. That'll be in my Amazon store as well. And it's a compact, pretty great little kit. 2-inch ball. I already have that. I don't know how much those things are running. Electric brake is built into my truck. You have to add that. You can add several $100s, I'm sure, for that. 6-foot safety chain with hooks on both ends. I had to ask them, was this 2 3-foot chains, like if you were going to be on a gooseneck, like kingpin, and they didn't have the safety chains? So you would have to, you know, use a carabiner or some kind of hook to hook the 3-foot chain on both sides and then bolt it, you know, clip it to your bed. No, they just want one 6-foot chain with the 5/16 inch or thicker and have hooks on both ends. So that was $35 at Harbor Freight for me. All right. Fire extinguisher with this that's securely mounted. The best price I can find where I could physically have my hands on it was Walmart at $25.94. Torque wrench, best place for that was Harbor Freight. I got one that's between 80 and 250 pounds per foot. I got it, and I got a smaller one that does up to 125 pounds per foot, and that was $21.99. So I have 2 different ones. The drive sockets, you can get these at Harbor Freight or Lowe's. I got the deep well ones for $31.99. I think, yeah, I got them at Harbor Freight. Then, let's see, locking cotter pins. I got a whole box of them from Harbor Freight. This is actually $6.49. But it comes with 550 of those, like you're going to really need them. Carabiner clips. I got a pack of them from Harbor Freight for $8.99. Let's see, threaded quick links, at least 4 inches long. Harbor Freight again sells these. They want 4 of them. They come in packs of 3. So I had to buy 2 packs. So, you know, that's, you know, what, $8. Okay. So that raised that a little bit. 1/4 inch diameter shackle padlock to secure trailer coupler to the truck ball. I had those already, but you know, they're probably a few bucks. I don't know. 1-inch ratchet straps. I think a ratchet strap that's 2,000 pound capacity is running about $20 now. Bungee cords. There's a little packet of them you can get at Harbor Freight for $5.99. Same with zip ties. I got a pack of 200 for $2.49. That's gonna put your license plates on the back of, you know, the camper. Each of them, Horizon in, you know, Indiana or Wave, required Easy Pass transponders. But I got to talking to Wave, and they said as long as you can find a transponder that can load in 2 plates, then you're good to go. So Easy Pass. The other thing with them is that they're mainly the East Coast, but they sell it by the state. So like if you just want Indiana or you want to buy a packet of them, you have to work out a price with them, but the minimum price was $34.99. But I have TSD Open Roads fuel card for my personal use for hauling my RV around, and I went to them because they have a toll transponder as well, and they do 48 states, and they can do 2 plates, and the total cost to set that up was $60.80. Annual fee is $24 a month. This $60 was the $24 plus $25 that they put on the account. So for when your first toll hits, you already had $25 in there, and it activates the transponder, and then the remaining, so say $50. So the $10.80 for the actual transponder. Anyway, that was a good deal for me. 48 states. They sent me the transponder. It got to me within 3 or 4 days, and it's already ready to go. I just put it on the window, and hoorah. You need a set of fuses, a variety of fuses. That's another $17 plus, depending on what you get, or you can get a small pack. that I recommend. There's one that I have in my Amazon store. It's got every type of fuse known to man, and that's in my truck. The box type, the the skinny type, small type, 10 amps, 5 amps, all the way up. So dash cam, this is required. The one that I have, you can see 4 views, both sides, the front and the rear. Easy to install. That's I got a video I think out there on it. I'll have to check. But it cost me $139.99 on Amazon. It's great, great little camera. I love it. All right, smart pad, iPad or tablet, smartphone. Sorry. My iPhone 16, $2,000. But you don't have to have that. I had a 13. I upgraded. Tablet, I'm carrying my laptop, but if you have to factor that in, it's some more money. So, okay, that was the requirements just to get you to orientation. And that was $6,385.89. Okay, so that was it. But then they have a bunch of options, that you can look into. Things that I had to end up getting, I ended up spending an extra $653.91 so far. Just making sure that I am ready for the road. So things like, air compressor, Harbor Freight, $189.99. 50-foot air hose, $29.99. Let's see. Let's roll down here. I got a mattress for the back of the, in my cab so I can sleep. That was $60. I got a steering wheel tray so I can either eat or I can work on my laptop. That was $45.99. Now these are just options. You don't have to have these. I got another toolbox. This one is 39 inches, not 36. This was recommended. It was on a video that Riverstone Life, William Sakura, doggone, I'm butchering his name, but William and Robin, he did a special on this. He runs for Wave, but he mentioned his toolbox, so I went and got it, and hopefully it supported him on his store. $169.99 was for this box. It was a bigger box. I got the 6-piece window shade so I can sleep. These things are for Rams. That cost me another $68. I got a 10-watt solar trickle charger from Harbor Freight. That was $40, so I can keep that marine grade battery handled in any kind of weather. I got a expander 4-in-1 cup holder, just so I could hold extra drinks or snacks. This thing is cool. I got a video out there on that. It's in my Amazon store. Everything here too would be in my Amazon store. Cell phone mounts, yep, another $16. Ended up getting a cover for my air compressor. That was another $22. If you were going to buy a 30,000-pound hitch, that is running $1251.95 now on Amazon. I didn't get one, but let's see. Let's scroll down to any more yeses. No. So I got a list going, but a lot of this is just stuff that I'm seeing on other RV transporters websites, or YouTube pages, excuse me. And then, of course, you'll need a microwave, refrigerator, freezer, or whatever. All kinds of stuff is going to be needed. Power inverters. I apologize. So I have a 750 in there that runs my Starlink. And also, I'm carrying Starlink with me. It's because we have it for our RV. But that way I can have the internet anywhere, in any place, at any time. Now I have a 1,000-watt inverter in the back of my truck that's set up just for my compressor. At some point, so a 3,000-watt inverter. I think William and Robin had this on their site. It was $129.99. There's just a bunch of extra assorted stuff on here. Let's see. Frigidaire microwave. It could cost you another $69. If you're getting a cover for your bed, that's another $519 or $20 for mine. A Garmin If you don't want to use the apps on your phone, you want to use Garmin GPS. That's right now they're running $379.99. So that's another cost. Portable power station, generator, things like that. Uh, it's extra cost that you'll have to plan for. All right, so that was it. All right, I forgot to tell you about their website. So you can go to waveexpress.com. You go up here to drivers, and then RV transport basics. So if you go in here, they have like a short little video of their NASCAR guy telling you how cool it is. But they have like little category cards that tells you, what their rates are. Now the recruiter, they'll tell you different price than this, because I think they told me $1.50 to $2.10 or $1.40 to $2.10 or $2.20, depending on what load you get or what recruiter you have. Then here's all the CDL. Basically, everything it's just a very preliminary breakdown of what they require to get hired by them. Now here they talk about the unladen, the $1 million one, but they don't talk about, it just says you are responsible to carry your own property damage. So when the company that they send you gives you a quote, they're going to ask you for the value of your truck, and then they'll base a quote for the $500,000 off of that. So you will have a combined payment of both the property and the unladen insurance. So just be aware of that. That's not on here. Let's see. Yeah, that's basically all you got right there. So they just kind of, just real quick, there's nothing. Then they say become a driver, and it goes right to, well, that's the application, if it's going to ever work. All right, Horizon Transport. You get this cool little video. This is at horizontransport.com. And then you go in here to the towaway division, and then they have their information, but they have links in here, which was kind of cool. Their website gave you a little bit more information, which I like. So recruiting bonus. So you just pop in here, and it tells you everything about the CDL, the recruiting bonus, reloads. They pay $1.70 to $2.03. But Wave will tell you up to $2.10. So you just kind of go back. Today's rates, they tell you that same button, but they tell you where their terminals are. So they have 15. Wave has 26. But I liked Horizon's website because you can just kind of quickly get a good overview of what's required. Now here, their website says about for hire license equal to a chauffeur license or higher. All right, so basically Class B, I guess, would be allowed, but B is carrying passengers. Class A guys can't carry passengers under their CDL A. They have to have a B because that covers carrying people with you. I mean, you can have your wife with you, but once you get over, carrying passengers for commercial use, that's a Class B. DOT record clean, the truck type, they just tell you, here's some more details. This is pretty crazy. They got a good bit of info here. They got pages for you to work on your passport, your FMCSA. Then they tell you up front about the damage deposit of $1,500, and then their physical DOT physical or getting your med card and all that is $85 bucks. Ducks. That's only for Jeep people, the ducks. But $85 up in Goshen. If you get it somewhere else, it may cost more or less. Mine costs $80. All right, so you just kind of easily to walk through there. Indiana Transport. They're hiring, but they were very lackluster on communication. Drove me nuts. I couldn't get an answer from them. And they weren't personable in the way of their email. The Horizon and the Wave person, they had at least a picture of the recruiter, their contact info, and their name and all that, and it was a little bit more friendly in that sense, but you can become a contractor, go to their towaway, and then they just put all their stuff right up here on the front page. This is the basic stuff. A lot of this is, part of that $6,000 that I dumped to get ready for this job. But their page doesn't have any links. They just have an application, an email, and a phone number. And that's pretty much it. Vendors, they sent me this nice little PDF. This is what I broke down into a spreadsheet on mine, but they had the most info on, you know, getting you to people who can help you out. Most of this is in Indiana, but if you just needed help or repairs or a hotel, or but here I like this. They gave you discounts for Drury hotels nationwide, Motel 6 nationwide, Wyndham hotels, all kinds of them. So they gave you all this data up front. Whereas Wave, I still haven't gotten it. So am I making a wrong choice? Who knows? But they got all kinds of hotels nationwide. Okay. So that was pretty good. And they sent me this right away. All right. Then what's another thing that they gave a picture? This is what the rock guard is going to look like. This is by Dooley Depot or the other fabrication place. You will get something similar to this. It is required. Dooley Depot. Oh yeah, I wanted to show you this. Okay, so I'm only getting this top stuff. Okay, the Ultra Guard, the Gravel Guard, and the weight distribution hitch. That's going to cost me when I get there like $758. Okay, but if you wanted to get a good portion of the required stuff, they have packages that you can buy. So like all of this can be included with the equipment requirements, and then that comes out to a grand total with the blue, you get the printer, the dash cam, but that's just the front view from when I talked to them at $105. Mine was all 4 views for $139. But that's a grand total of $1,650 just straight up. Now these prices, like an $80 printer, I got mine for $49. Safety chain, they charge $35. I got mine cheaper. 7-way extension, they charge $80. I got mine cheaper. Plug tester. Anyway, this is good stuff for somebody who doesn't want to mess with trying to hunt down the bigger, better deal. So just buy it through them. You show up, and it's the basic requirements needed to pass orientation. So Dooley Depot gave me this. The other companies didn't, but this is $1,651. I hope all this information that I just barraged across you right now, that I just threw at you. It's like throwing it against the wall and see what sticks. But just letting you know that the requirements for this job are going to cost you a little bit up front in a high range. So just be prepared for that. And then the optional stuff is just going to only add to it. But by then you're making money and you can just buy that stuff, get your truck rigged out just perfect so you can be comfortable on the road, safe on the road, and have a fun time out there seeing the United States. That's the reason I'm doing this, is because I'm already traveling the United States, spending money, so why don't I travel the United States and make money? That's the way we see it. Plus, I'm coming out of retirement because I kind of get bored at home and driving my wife crazy. All right, done with Uniquely Double B. I'll talk to you soon. Out.